Get your big, loud sighs out now, buddy. That's pleasant. Now I need to sniff. It's contagious. All right, ready? Why, hello.
Hey there.
So I was very happy about something this week. Do you recall? It's the middle of the week. I sent you a text.
I can't remember. That was so the middle of the week.
So several weeks ago, right before Christmas, it got very, very cold here. And I've been slightly worried ever since then about some little lives that are in my care. And so I have 2 hives, and at least one of them was definitely alive still.
The white hive.
Yep, the white hive. So the blue hive was pretty quiet, so that one may have died. Although if they just have really low population, they might just be hanging out in there. But bees tend to want to fly out and poop like in the middle of the winter after like a long cold spell. So one of my hives was still alive. So I still have bees.
Yeah.
And I was quite certain that -10 or -11, whatever it got to.
It was cold.
Yeah, I thought they were pretty much doomed. Like, I don't think that they can survive this.
Well,
it's
we'll
very
see.
unusual.
And that's the hive that the queen is wild, right?
No, the other one's the wild queen.
Oh, okay.
The wild mated queen.
The wild mated queen.
And I mean, she would be a child of her mother, the other queen, but it's more about who she mated with and what their genetics were.
Right.
Because the queen can't stay alive alone. She needs other bees to keep her warm and to feed her.
Yeah.
So if she mated with drones that just didn't have like a good winter overwintering gene, then the others may have died and therefore she died.
So you mean they're Coloradan bees?
Maybe. I've learned that the carniolan bees are like, that's the queen that's still alive. Those do seem to be the ones to get here in Colorado, because I've made it 2 winters so far with this queen.
Are they Italian? It sounds Italian. Is it Spanish? Carniolan?
No. I don't know where it originates from, but they tend to be more like slightly more winter hardy. They are more populous, so they bounce their population really quick in the spring, and then they're more inclined to swarm. Carny bees. I don't know how to spell it. Dale's trying to Google it right now to find out where they come from. It's a honeybee. It's not Italians, though. So Italian is a different breed.
They're native to Slovenia, southern Austria, and parts of Croatia, Bosnia, and Herzegovina, and other names I cannot pronounce.
Just stop trying. Yes. And so they're not Russian, because Russian honeybees are supposedly resistant to varroa mites, because that's where varroa mites originated from, was from Russia. So
right.
I've always read about Russian queens and those being really great, like as anti-varroa measures, but I've never been able to get one. And so really, typically your choice is that you have, you can choose from Italian or Carniolan, at least in our area. I don't know if other parts of the country have other choices.
It makes you wonder, do they import them from those places to the United States, or they've just been here so long now?
They've been here.
Okay.
I mean, they might do. I think that there are laboratories that do like very select queen breeding that's super controlled, and they even manually inseminate the queens so that they definitely know the genetics of the fathers, because that's important with like what's going to happen with her offspring. But I think generally where I get my packages from is California, and you have breeders there, and they just have those that are very well known.
Hopefully our bees weren't artificially inseminated.
I guess I'll never know about the one that's still alive, but I think it's quite expensive to do that.
Yeah, we got the cheap bees, so probably not our bees. Our bees are probably all natural.
Yep.
Yeah.
They got down to beesness.
The beesness.
The birds and the bees.
Well, I'm Dale.
I'm Kit.
And welcome to Catholic Hitch. We are a Catholic family seeking heaven and hoping to pick up others along the way.
Small talk. So I thought, as a change, rather than talking about something that's happening in our life, let's talk about like checking in on our kids, because,
oh geez,
we started this podcast 3 years ago or so, and
right.
a lot has changed. So let's just talk about our kids and their natures. And I think it's kind of fun because obviously we anticipate they're probably going to change a little bit as they grow.
Okay.
So we can start with Christina. She is 14 years old.
The teenager. And not too much drama. Not sulking. Although she has her hobbit hole.
Yeah, she's inclined to stay in her bedroom at all times now. So we have to
Chromebook.
Yeah, we have to get a crowbar to pry her out.
And a phone and headphones.
Yep. Oh, the headphones.
Yeah.
But she's always been an odd one because she is very laid back. Ever since she got out of the 5 to 6 year stage.
Right.
She's just been very laid back. So nothing really tends to ruffle her. And that often has led to me being told at parent-teacher conferences that she's the most popular kid in her class. And that I hate to hear. I hate hearing that because I have an image of what a popular person is like, and I don't want my children to be like that.
But keep in mind that popularity is coming from an options homeschool program.
No. I haven't parent-teacher conferences at options school has not happened for me.
I guess it hasn't. Okay, cool.
They have parent-teacher conferences. Do I go to them? No, I do not.
Oh, okay. I didn't know they had them.
No, this is from our convention. This is several years ago.
Right. I guess so. Yeah, I mean, some of the girls she was hanging out with were probably, it's a good thing she's not hanging out with them, because they've gone in different directions, I think.
Yeah. So we're homeschooling Christina.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a big discernment we talked about a couple years ago, going through that process, because we never really anticipated homeschooling. I just didn't see us as a homeschooling family.
Yeah. Well, we're one of I think the percentage is about 2% now of parents who no longer have kids in public school because of the crazy things that are going on these days.
Yeah.
And the number's getting bigger
by
the year.
When we went and had our crazy God signal, it was pretty scary because we were really well set up in the school. Nothing had happened. There wasn't a precipitating event necessarily. There was something that opened our eyes.
Right.
But it wasn't
And we talked about that before.
Yeah, we talked about all that. But, since then with the God signal, there has not been another God signal, at least for me. And you have not disclosed that God has asked for a change. So we're kind of sticking with when middle school happens for our kids, they come home.
At least.
And we think we know now why this may have happened, and that does have to do with some of the kids in the school and what's going on there. Mm-hmm. And it's exactly what you would expect in public school be happening.
At least 4, if not more, that were directly friends of hers have lost their way.
Yeah. So, and it's hard for her to hear about that from her.
It is, but
friends,
she's praying. She's praying for them,
Yeah.
And she does have one of her friends, who is the leader of the game that I assume made called Danger Rescue Team.
Yep.
And so they have a constant contact with each other to continue to make this game. And one of them makes stories, the other one makes animations for the stories.
Yep.
So
it's really cute.
That's healthy.
Yeah.
That's been good.
And that particular friend moved away, so she was not in the school district anymore. They were quite actually far away.
Right.
It's 25, 30 minutes at least to get to their house now.
Yeah. So
probably longer, actually.
Demeanor of Christina.
Yeah.
Pliant, I think, for now.
Compliant too, probably.
Mostly.
Yeah.
Mostly. She's still a teenager. Compliancy is getting a little bit less pliant. I think is the best way to say it.
Yeah.
What about Terrence? I would say he's in that great, nice period of listening and helping and, doing good things.
Yeah.
He's become my movie buddy.
Yeah. That part's been nice about me kind of being knocked out off my feet most of the time in the evening. The one prayer intention I have for Terrence constantly, like my special intention for him, is that God will help his heart overcome the sharpness of his tongue.
You mean the poking of the bear that he gets from his mother?
Yes. So yeah, Terrence of all the children really like has a lot of my nature in him, which is interesting because he's a male, so it's different. Like, you know, he has a masculine nature, I have a feminine nature, so he has a lot of me in there, but like it's not quite exactly the same because he's a boy. So that's interesting. So I keep on trying to work on him. And yeah, I think I've talked about my like particular ESP for Terrence's naughtiness.
Right. You have.
In the podcast. But yeah, it's interesting, you know, getting a kid that's very much like you and you can totally, you know exactly where their brain's coming from most of the time. For now.
Yeah. He's a good kid.
Yeah, he's prepubescent kind of, so.
Yes, he is exactly that. We were walking out of Mass and he walks over to our Marian shrine and they have these big rocks and he's like, "Hey, sedimentary." I'm like, look over. Yes, that in fact is sedimentary rock. You are correct. I've never thought about that before, but he had.
That's cool.
Yeah, so he's growing, he's learning. He listens pretty well, but yeah, he pokes that bear.
He does. It's like his vice. It's like it's a compulsion, and I understand that part because that was my problem.
The itch to scratch.
Yeah, I did. That was me and my little sister. I always pushed her too far.
Every time.
And it wasn't good. Yeah. And she still somehow loves me and continued to love me as a child.
Well, that's a good sign. Hopefully that'll be the same for Terrence.
Yeah. But I think when he comes to homeschool, it's going to be really good because he's very task oriented.
I think so. Yes. It's going to be the wait. I only have to do 2 hours of school if I work really hard, and then I get to slack off the rest of the time. Done.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like he'll buck the system in the positive way.
Yeah.
It'll be good.
So it's been interesting with Christine. We finally, I think, found a good routine with her where we're doing like one subject a day. So she does the entire week's worth of that subject in one day, and then she does a different subject another day. And that seems to be working. But we went through this period with her where she just doesn't have any intrinsic motivation. And it was tough, like, because she would be doing school for like 8 hours a day.
Yeah, she gets that from me.
I think we're seeing a lot of your nature coming out in her as she grows, which is interesting.
Yeah, it is.
And she does taekwondo with you, which is good. But yeah, so Terrence is going to be a very different, I think, he's going to respond very differently to homeschool. Yep.
Yeah, so we were in a Friday class, and we were doing
you and Christina.
A jump technique where it's like an alternating jump front kick. And I go in through, and because I'm the highest belt, so I start the kicking line. And when Christina gets through, our instructor, Mr. Evans, is like, "I see where she does exactly what her dad does." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, both of you don't lift your legs. You do the exact same thing." I'm like, "Oh, it must be genetics." Okay, we're grounded people. Both hobbits.
Yep. I mean, her feet are gigantic.
They are.
Her feet are like 2 sizes, or no, I think it's a full size bigger than mine.
She's
right
a men's
now.
8. Really.
Yeah.
She's a men's 8.
So that's a woman's 10.
It's pretty big. Yeah. All right,
Rosalina. My prayer intention for her would be to try to find a saint before too much longer, because it's her confirmation year.
See, I've noticed the symbioticness that's going on between her and Christina, because Rosalina is a very affectionate and she likes physical affection. And Christina, for whatever reason, has been getting into braiding and doing things to her hair. So it's a good win-win because Christina gets to play and, try different hairstyles out. And Rosalina gets her hair rubbed, which is, that physical affection.
Yeah.
It works really well.
And Rosie also, like, her love language is definitely also art and cards and things.
Yes.
So I'll always have to, like, pay attention to cards and birthdays and stuff with Rosie because it'll really matter to her as her love language. But she always makes these little cards, like, all the time. Like, pretty much every day. We'll find a card on our bed.
Right.
Telling us that we're the best parents accepting Jesus and Mary.
Mm-hmm. Did you hear, I don't know if you were at the table this morning, she was talking about some game that some of the kids are playing where, like, if you break a stick, then you die, or something like that. It kind of sounded like one of those occulty, Bloody Mary type things. I'm like, tell me more about this, because she kind of mumbled it. It was like that testing the water, if I can talk about this.
Oh yeah, she's so timid.
Kind of thing. And I said, well, do you do that? No, I don't do it. Okay. Do you have friends that do it? Well, I know one person that does it. Okay. So kind of have to listen in a little bit for that timidity. And,
yeah,
I think she's fine. I think her faith is rooted, and she was talking about it like it was a thing somebody shouldn't be doing, but it was can I talk about this at the table kind of moment. So we'll
yeah,
see.
I wasn't here at the table at that time. I must have been going to the bathroom or something.
Yeah, I tried not to be like, you don't do that, right? Like the dad voice or anything like that. I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Rosie is so timid.
Yeah.
Like she's just she speaks too quietly most of the time because I think she is afraid to like speak up.
Yep.
Sometimes. And I don't know if that's like a middle child thing or
I don't know
what it is.
We'll find out. I'm sure she's going to speak her mind a lot when she hits the teenage years.
So Rosie still has a little, like a child's voice, like some of her was. And it's, I'm actually getting to the point where I'm like, do we need to go to like speech therapy? Because she's starting to get a little old for it, but she has like the cute little child's voice still.
She'll be fine.
So she's in third
She's in third grade. She's in third grade. She's fine. She hits fifth grade, then we'll talk.
Okay.
She's making cutesy wootsy noises still.
Okay.
That's different. But third grade, meh.
Have to go back and watch all my videos of the others to like compare.
Meh.
And she is a little young for her. So our other two are like one of the oldest in their grades, between Christina and Terrence. But Rosie is one of the youngest in her grades. Yeah. In her grade level, I should say. And she's really super smart, and she's always been a good reader and writer. Her penmanship is impeccable.
Yes, it's very good.
Yeah, she's very, I think, gifted artistically.
Oh, yes. Now, Jonathan.
Jonathan is baby Dale. Little Dale.
Yeah, he is. He's stuck in his ways, and he's only 5.
Yep.
Don't change the world on him. He gets grumpy.
Oh, yeah. When I try to wake him up, it's exactly like when I try to wake you up.
Yeah.
If you're running late, just the response.
Yeah, he sounds just like me. You're going to have to separate us when he gets older. You will, because we're going to fight.
Oh, man.
I know it's going to happen.
Really?
Oh,
you think that's going to happen?
Because it's just going to be like, just rubbing against each other because our personalities are going to be so alike.
Maybe.
I think it's going to be a challenge.
See, I think Terrence and I are going to be like alike, and we're just going to have like witty one-upmanship type of arguments.
Hopefully.
Oh, I don't think he's ever going to get enough experience to be able to take me in an argument.
Well, the student eventually does one day become the master.
We'll see.
So we shall see.
I just won't call him a son of a bee.
You shouldn't do that. Yeah, you shouldn't do that.
That happened to one of my childhood friends.
Really?
Her brother, the mom called the brother a son of a bee in an argument. Oh, yeah.
Oops.
Whoopsie.
That was an angry moment there.
It was.
Yeah.
That was a seeing red moment.
Not charitable.
Yeah, I don't think that I'll argue that way with Terrence.
No, I don't think I'll.
Do you think you're going to be fighting with Johnny?
I think we're going to have some tiffs. It's probably going to come. I don't think they're going to be big. Like, I don't think we're going to come to throwing punches or something like that. But there's going to be those moments where we both don't agree about something, and I'm not sure we'll come to common ground.
But you and I don't agree on things a lot, but we don't fight with each other.
Yeah, but I'm married to you, and we love one another in a very different way.
But you love your son.
I do love my son. I just foresee in the future that our natures we're going to get grumpy at each other. It's going to happen.
Driven into conflict.
I think it'll happen. So we'll see.
No speaking to each other before the sun is up.
That's a good one. Yes. We'll sit down and drink our coffee together, and then we'll speak. Yeah. That might be a wise decision for rules of engagement when we're older. No, but I think, I don't know. I've been trying to work on him because, you give him something different at dinner and forget him eating it. Like last night, hour and a half for him to finish his food just so he could get to his Texas toast, garlic bread.
Yeah, we can't give Jonathan bread before he eats his actual food.
Even this morning, you noticed I didn't give him his biscuit again because he wouldn't have eaten anything else. And he actually ate all of his food.
No, he ate his egg. Well, he didn't eat his bacon or his potatoes.
Oh, and he got away with it?
And we call Fakin Morningstar bacon, just FYI. Yeah. We don't actually eat fake dog bacon.
It's fake bacon. It's good.
It's our, inside joke.
Yeah, because Fakin is really probably meat-derived something or other that they give to dogs, I'm sure.
I'm sure. Yeah. Meat byproduct.
Probably.
Yeah, I'm sure we wouldn't want to eat. I mean, who would want to eat a dog treat?
Hopefully no one.
Well, if you're hungry, I guess, really, really hungry.
If you're really hungry, maybe. Food. I mean, that does happen. It could happen. It's food, but I don't want to know what Purina puts in that stuff.
Nope. Well, I thought that would kind of be fun. So Jonathan's currently 5, Rosalina's currently 8, Terrence is currently 10, and Christina is currently 14.
Yeah.
So, and babies do mid-March.
Yep. They like to kick a lot. And jump around.
That's
and
all we know.
Try to bust your ribs. That's all we know.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So I was in Sam's Club with you. We were shopping for some church supplies last weekend.
Yep.
And if it had been my first pregnancy and I was really high, still it probably would have been a rib breaker. It was such a powerful kick. It just hurt quite badly, but it wasn't near my ribs. So I just was like, ow.
Yeah.
So
paused you for a moment.
Yeah, for sure. It was it's just weird to be feeling kicks from the inside out. That's not something you'll ever understand.
Nope.
Not without an alien implantation.
Yeah, I was going to say, if I do, there's something very, very wrong going on.
Very wrong.
Yeah. Big talk?
Big talk. So I'm not sure this is going to be a huge big talk, but something
most of our big talks don't seem to turn into big talks.
They can be.
Sometimes.
Last week we were short.
Okay, sorry.
So we had a really nice homily by our pastor. Our pastor covered every mass today because we were short a priest, and our other parochial vicar was out at another church covering all of their masses. So it's like a long day. And actually, we made our pastor his lunch, and he thanked us for it already with a text message.
That was nice.
Yeah, gotta feed that guy. So he had a really nice homily, and at the end of his homily, he said something that started to make me really nervous. And what he said was, a few months ago when we resumed the blood of Christ, I talked to you all about postures and approaching the Eucharist, and that the normative posture is standing, but that we have people that kneel. And I've been really thinking about this, and how do we how do we handle this situation? I think is kind of the way he started. He said it more eloquently than that.
Yeah.
So I'm a kneeler for the Eucharist.
Mm-hmm.
Talked about that in the past. And so I definitely started to get a little bit nervous when he said that. But you knew where he was going because he talked about this at Pastoral Council.
Yeah, so he bounced the idea off of us on Friday. I was still a little taken aback because, it's Sunday, and he's already, had his communications with the rest of the priests, and the deacons were like, yeah, sure, let's do this. So that was kind of surprising, and we, were very supportive of the idea because we do have a parish that is very mixed of people who do like to kneel down as they receive both the Eucharist and the precious blood.
So the solution that our pastor proposed was we're going to reserve the first pew, and no one will actually sit themselves in that pew, and it becomes a de facto altar rail.
Yeah, on the center aisle only.
On the center aisle only.
Because
okay.
we're a semi in the round parish. Is the way our nave is constructed.
Okay, so it's only going to be the first two.
Only the first two. So if you want to kneel, you will, in that fashion, then you come to the center aisle. Is the idea.
And I mean, there's some more logistics questions I have,
Me
but
too.
it was interesting because I really thought he was about to ask us all to please all stand in unity. And if he were to ask that, I would have felt like I need to obey my pastor, and it would have been really hard.
It'd be hard.
And I'm actually sent something to another podcast, the Catholic in a Small Town podcast, about, the idea that we are Romans and we celebrate in the Roman Rite.
Yeah.
And the charism of Romans are that we are defined by our unity. And that might be some of why we have so many Romans in the world is we do things together. And So, when I was feeling called to kneeling, I had some like pretty difficult problems with the idea of kneeling when everyone else is standing to receive the Eucharist. And I think I came, I knew it was a call. And I came to understand, we do things in unity, like we do praying together, we stand, we kneel, for the consecration. We do some of these things together, but there's other ways that we are independent and individual. And that does include as we approach the altar. We can't all go up together to receive the Eucharist at the same time. It's a very individual one-on-one act. So it's very intimate. So that was one of like the overcomings that I had. But if our pastor, asks us all to please stand, then I think I'd need to obey is where I would land with it. So I was like slightly nervous when he started down that road.
Yeah. And there's still logistics that have to be figured out. And we were talking about, what is, at least my brain was going to, okay, what does that look like in our parish? Are we being tratty at that point? Because basically we're creating an altar rail, in some respects, because it's at the frontal of the pew where you will kneel down and then you will wait to receive the host and then wait to receive the precious blood, I think.
Yeah, I was wondering about how the precious blood will be handled.
There's some logistics that's got to be figured out for this.
I typically don't receive the blood of Christ unless there's absolutely no one in the line in front of me because I kneel. So I feel like if there's a line, then it's just going to be a long time and then I have an audience and it just gets weird. So a lot of times I just receive, the body.
Well, we've had a couple of people at our Mass time that have kneeled down to receive the precious blood.
Have it? Mm-hmm. See, that's what's so... That again, it just reminds me and reaffirms my call, because prior to me kneeling, part of my call was I was God was opening my eyes to see people doing it all the time. I couldn't not see. I even tried to not look at people kneeling because it was bothering me. And it's funny, I never even notice anyone now because I think just doing what God wants me to do. So I'm not being nettled by the Holy Spirit to perceive. So I didn't know anyone else was kneeling for the blood of Christ.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it happens.
Well, because if you're kneeling to receive the body, it's weird to not kneel to receive the blood.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly.
So my solution for many months was I wasn't going to receive the blood.
Yeah.
And then I got the opportunity a couple times, and so I was able to.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you don't receive the blood, the logistics problem is that you'll receive the unless it's they're really going to come up right after one after the other.
I think so. That's where the logistics have to get figured out. If we need an additional EMHC to just be on call for those two things, or how it's going to happen. And we talked about, do we just put a kneeler in front? Because a lot of parishes, to resolve this issue, they just put a kneeler. And if you don't want to receive on the kneeler, then you just stand right behind the kneeler and you receive. And that's pretty commonplace. But Father felt that he didn't want to make it feel like it's forced. There's a kneeler here, so you should kneel down and be more holy because there's a kneeler there. And how dare you not kneel? So I think he's trying to balance and allow for diversity.
Which I appreciate, because I don't want people to feel that they feel compelled because of peer pressure or whatever. I mean, I think there's so few kneelers, and I say that by the people, people who kneel. I think there's very few people that kneel compared to the overall percentage of the congregation, right? Well, maybe 5%.
I would say it's the same with, so pre-COVID, I'd say the numbers were higher. I'd also say receiving on the tongue was higher.
Yeah.
Now I would say that receiving on the tongue is starting to come back a little bit more. More people are becoming more comfortable with that. I felt comfortable enough to receive on the tongue in the sanctuary as an EMHC.
Oh, I didn't notice. I know that you've continued to receive in the hand.
I mostly have, but I've been changing back because that's how I want to receive.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like it's a negative thing to do so now.
There's a lot of EMHCs that do receive on the tongue.
Yeah, and that's kind of what allowed me to feel like, okay, I can do this too, because I'm the last one to receive typically. I'm the end of the line up there. because I'm counting like a mad fiend to make sure that we've got all the EMHCs and they actually came up, and doing all the logistics in my brain. Somebody asked me today, because we have a list for the EMHCs where you're supposed to write your name down, and there's always a line under one of them, and that's my minimum number count. So that helps me so that I don't go there and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wait, how many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Because I need 8. So I just put a line under number 8.
Nice.
And it helps me know. And they're like, what's that line there? And I'm like, that's just to help me so I don't sit here like an OCD person and count again and again and again.
Worried that you are miscounting.
Yeah. Well, today we actually had all of the servers that we needed.
It was epic.
First time.
Yeah, we've never had every single slot. It was a lot of EMHCs.
Yeah, and I think because I was pushing a little bit harder and saying, hey, I really need help, because I thought I was going to be more in the assistive role for Father, because we weren't supposed to have a deacon, but we had a deacon. So then when you told me that he was in fact helping and you weren't going to have to do the lector role for the prayers of the faithful, I was like, oh, great. That means I have one extra, and then I think... I know the person that signed up, he was the last person, because I'll cross out the last slot and I'll have one open. That way I know that if no one signs up, I can fill the role, and all of them were filled. So that was quite wonderful.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it very rarely happens, but our mass is growing.
It is. Yeah, we were
population.
like 272 today.
Yeah.
So it's getting a little higher. We had people in overflow today. In the not
room.
Cry room, but everybody uses it like a cry room, even though we don't set it up to where you're supposed to sit in there. People still sit in there regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
There's signs basically saying this isn't a cry room. We want your child to be in church.
There are
in the room.
But
I know
people still do it.
Yeah.
So everybody's in a different walk in their faith life. So.
That's true.
Yeah. But the whole conversation, I don't know. I felt it was fast. There's a lot of logistics to figure out. But that's what honestly kind of love about our pastor right now, is he is very communicative.
Yes.
And he is moving things along. And like your Wednesday nights, for instance, are starting to fill up. He's getting that dance card going.
I verbally said, oh no, because he said, and I have something planned for the first Wednesdays that is to be announced. And that's a problem because I have the church reserved on the first Wednesday of February for our family night. And it's in the calendar. So this happened to me last year with this exact same thing.
You'll have to talk to him, so what he didn't mention, the first Wednesdays are going to be for reconciliation, mass, and then adoration, and then healing prayer.
Yeah, and I love that. And actually,
yes.
I
think you could just turn your family night straight into that.
I can not this year. It's
because
too
of
programmed.
Is it the like going to the stations and that
yeah
thing?
I think it's the perception that like these are happening for a reason that is kind of part of a requirement to get your kiddo sacramentalized.
Yeah, but
now I am on board with doing it next year.
Okay. I mean, because the benefit is you've got confession built in.
Yes.
You've got mass, you got adoration. Do
not disagree.
All those good things.
But we're covering some ground like that we're needing to close out the year. Mm-hmm. So there won't be any competition with the first Wednesday in March, nor the first Wednesday in April, because those are... anyway, I don't have family nights for those months, but I do for February and I do for May. But I just need to get through those two.
But I think what the beauty is that Father has heard that, hey, at one point in time, our parish had a vibrant Wednesday night. And he's heard also from staff and from council saying, our parents basically drop kids off and go. And they're not, we know that catechism has to start at home. The domestic church must be built up first in order for the kids to succeed in their faith journey. So we need to help build them up. Yes. And so he's starting to add all these things in. Our vicars are helping in that front. So
I'm 100%, and honestly, it'll make my life easier that I don't have to plan these family nights next year if we can have community nights of mass, reconciliation, adoration.
Yeah.
Or reconciliation, mass, adoration.
I think we're going to get there.
And I think that
it's gonna be awesome.
I can ask him if he can maybe homilize on particular themes, maybe like periodically. And then that becomes my family night. And
That'd be cool.
you know, what's cool about Father is, you know, he's hearing about Wednesdays used to be this really big event in our church. And he hears that and he thinks, what's primary? The liturgy is primary. So instead of having, you know, food and then just like a talk discussion, he's like focusing us on the sacraments.
Absolutely.
And it wasn't like that before.
No.
It was just a talk, and there was some dinner available via the squires. And it was, you know, lots of fellowship availability, opportunity that way. But I think he is so on point with what is primary, what is first.
Yes.
And that we're going to do these things. And I think that
good, better, best.
Yes. Is one. I'm really excited. I just need to close out this year because everything's scheduled on the calendar.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, it's so exciting. I loved, he did this for the first Wednesday in December, and he unfortunately wasn't able to be here because his father was passing away. Yeah. But it was really nice. You weren't able to be there either.
No, you were there.
I was there with the littles.
That's right.
So you and Christina were off, but it was nice. So I'm really excited about some of this changing for next year, but I got to get through the rest of this year first.
Cool.
See, we had a lot for big talk.
Okay.
What do you know?
How about that?
So yeah, we may get a quasi altar rail experience. And by we, I guess I mean me, because you're going to still be serving as a master of ceremonies on the altar.
Yeah. And I did have that cantankerous thought of, so what happens when I want to kneel down in the sanctuary to receive?
Yeah, that's the one thing. I think it's a Roman unity comes first and foremost,
right.
With the way that we have EMHC configured.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Baby steps. This is a big step.
Baby steps, yes.
Yeah, I can report on like what the awkwardness of the altar rail experience was. If I basically kneel down and I'm forgotten about me and whoever else for a while.
There will be training.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
So next week we'll know.
Yeah, we'll find out. Well, if you know anybody who's interested in the podcast, send it over to them. We are on all the podcast thingamabobs.
Everything. Yeah. You can find us everywhere.
You can find us everywhere.
Even the weird ones that no one's ever heard of.
I don't know. I use Spotify. Works.
Yep. I use
Actually,
Google
no.
Play.
I don't use Spotify.
Or not
I use
Google
Spotify
Play.
for my music, but I use Google
Podcasts.
Google Podcasts. That's right. Yeah, because that's what was on my phone. So when I get a new phone eventually, it'll probably be some other platform I've never used before because it'll be the default thing in it. Anyways,
and you and I are so different in this way because I just so enjoy when I get a new device installing all of my very, very specific apps, even my specific keyboard app I install.
Yeah, I'll probably do that. You've converted me.
I've converted you on the
keyboard just because the GIFs are there.
Unless the Gboard.
The new one comes with a search engine for GIFs. If it does, then I don't need the other one.
Right? I guess that could be.
Yeah.
We'll never know.
We'll see.
Yeah, got to pay off the house first.
One thing at a time. Baby steps.
Baby steps.
Yeah.
Well, you can reach us at catholicetch@gmail.com. May the Lord guide and direct our journey.
Amen.
We can make it more awkward.
I'm sure we can.
Challenge accepted. Bye. Oh, you were half off the screen most of the time.
That's how I roll.
I guess so.